Born in 1844, he succumbed to mental illness at a young age, yet his writings endure as timeless provocations. Why engage with Nietzsche today? Far from arcane theory, his work offers a framework for transcending frailty in an inauthentic age. Our journey will encompass a concise account of his tumultuous life, the declaration of God's death and its revolutionary implications, the distinction between slave and master moralities, with the revelation that many of us unwittingly adhere to the former, the will to power as the fundamental drive of existence, the Ubermensch as humanity's aspirational ideal, the doctrine of eternal recurrence as a profound existential test, and finally, his enduring legacy amid common misinterpretations. Upon completion, you will perceive the world through a transformed lens. Let us proceed methodically, beginning with the figure at the center of this intellectual tempest. Consider the early years of Friedrich Nietzsche. Orphaned by his father's death at age 5, he was raised in a devout Lutheran household, only to renounce theology in favor of classical philology by his mid-20s. At 24, he secured the youngest professorship in philology at the University of Basel, influenced profoundly by Arthur Schopenhauer's pessimistic philosophy of the will and Richard Wagner's operatic grandeur. Yet Nietzsche swiftly surpassed these mentors. By 1879, debilitating illnesses, chronic migraines and deteriorating eyesight compelled him to resign his post at 34. He then roamed the Swiss Alps, composing fragmented aphorisms in works such as Thus Spoke Zarathustra. A complete mental breakdown struck in 1889, triggered, legend holds, by witnessing a beaten horse in Turin. His final decade passed in silence under care. From this personal maelstrom emerged 15 volumes that insist existence defies comforting narratives. Welcome the tempest instead. Yet how might such a tormented individual herald the end of divinity? That question awaits, promising to unsettle the foundations of your inherited beliefs. The proclamation arrives with stark clarity. God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. Penned in the Gay Science of 1882, this is no mere atheistic flourish. It constitutes a dire caution. The advances of science, rational inquiry, and democratic ideals have eroded traditional faith. In their wake lurks nihilism, a pervasive sense of purposelessness. Nietzsche observed a post-Enlightenment Europe where cathedrals stood vacant and ethical certainties dissolved. Humanity, through its own intellectual triumphs, has slain the ancient deities, yet recoils from interring the remains. The consequence? A masquerade of frailty as virtue, where buried resentments breed unchecked. The revelation, however, lies in opportunity. Absent transcendent authority, individuals must author their own principles. Regrettably, many persist in animating spectral idols or fabricating novel constraints. Does this echo the tensions of our era's cultural reckonings? Reflect on that as we turn next to Nietzsche's dissection of morality itself, revealing good and evil as instruments of influence, not immutable verities, and exposing how your ethical framework may subtly undermine you. To resolve our prior intrigue, morality arises not from celestial decree, but from contests of influence. Nietzsche delineates two archetypes. Master morality, born of the vigorous, celebrates life's vitality, instincts embraced, nobility deemed good, frailty dismissed as bad. Envision the ancient Greeks, exemplary figures generated values from an abundance of strength. In opposition stands slave morality, an inversion crafted by the subjugated, exemplified in early Christianity, to subvert the hierarchy. Here, good signifies meekness, compassion, and egalitarianism. Evil targets the assertive elite. This framework channels resentment or ressentiment as a subtle toxin eroding the potent from beneath. The Apostle Paul's teachings epitomize it, offer the other cheek, all while envisioning ultimate retribution. In our time, phenomena such as pervasive claims of grievance or insulated enclaves reflect these slave dynamics. dampening innate vigor. Nietzsche's antidote? Reawaken master sensibilities. A firm existence without contrition for one's potency. Yet potency transcends mere subjugation, it delves deeper. Anticipate this. What if all phenomena, from affection and creativity to adversity, yearn for a singular essence? The will to power unfolds shortly, poised to reshape your discernment of virtue and vice. Now we ascend. Dismiss Sigmund Freud's emphasis on libido. Nietzsche posits the will to power as existence's primal mechanism. Far from crude domination, it embodies expansion, the perpetual drive to surmount obstacles, to affirm disorder, to evolve. This impulse permeates all. Vegetation fractures stone. The athlete endures exertion in pursuit of mastery. As articulated in Beyond Good and Evil, it underlies even ostensibly altruistic deeds. Clerics wield guilt for sway. Intimates harness desire for union. Nietzsche's own afflictions, his relentless headaches kindled unparalleled insight, transmuting anguish into propulsion. In application, cease the tyranny of obligation that stifles potential. Instead, harness this will toward creation over mere absorption. To command it masterfully, however, demands transcendence. The Ubermensch beckons. Envision a being refined beyond conventional dualities of virtue and vice. This represents your prospective ascent. If slave morality confined you, the will to power unlocks the barrier. Persist, the transformation ahead proves transformative. We arrive at the pinnacle, the Ubermensch or Overman, introduced in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche's lyrical manifesto. No fantastical archetype in a mantle, but humanity's next iteration, a conduit spanning the chasm of nihilism. With divinity extinguished, the Overman generates novel principles from unadulterated resolve. Zarathustra, descending from solitude, declares, "Man is something that shall be overcome." Contemporary humanity, the last men, a satiated multitude, content with superficial distractions. The Ubermensch, by contrast, navigates tempests with grace, embracing life's entirety, ecstasies and agonies alike. Defining qualities, the innovator, the autonomous sovereign, the earthly reveler in Dionysian exuberance. In practice, visionaries such as Pablo Picasso, or indeed any who pursue ambitions amid adversity. To essay its authenticity, however, contemplate eternal recurrence, imminent now, your decisive evaluation of existence. This vision transcends reverie. It charts your course. This meditation crowns all inquiries. Envision a spectre murmuring at the stroke of midnight. Your life, in its roles as mentor, companion, or falterer, must recur infinitely, each triumph and tribulation replicated to the finest detail. Would you revile this fate or acclaim it with exultation? Drawn from the gay science, it serves as Nietzsche's criterion of affirmation, crafting existence worthy of eternal reprise. It eradicates remorse, rendering every decision perpetual. The majority might recoil, burdened by accumulations. The Ubermensch, however, integrates it, sculpting life as masterpiece. A practical counsel. Conduct a weekly reckoning. What alterations would elicit an unqualified again? Discard the superfluous. We conclude with legacy. How distortions by ideologues obscured him, and the liberation he extends to our present. This spectral query, it will linger, refining your path. Nietzsche's inheritance bears shadows. Following his collapse, his sister manipulated unpublished manuscripts, infusing them with nationalist distortions that later fueled Nazi appropriations. The Ubermensch, misconstrued as a racial paragon. In truth, he abhorred anti-Semitism and chauvinism. Authentic echoes abound. In Freud's exploration of the psyche, Sartre's Existentialism, and the ethos of personal accountability that permeates modern discourse. Dispelling illusions, far from endorsing nihilism, he waged war against it. Nor was he an unrelenting adversary of women. Though certain passages grate by contemporary standards, they reflect his epoch's conventions. At its heart, Amor, Fati, embrace your destiny, realize your essence. Amid 2025's digital deluges and existential anxieties, his imperative to invent significance resounds with urgency. We have traversed the core tenets. What resonates most profoundly with you? Let me know in the comments.